Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Endgame. We are here in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Second time I've played this now in this series. And the reality is that the only game that I can play right now in the Monster Hunter series is this game. There is a long explanation as to why. I'll try to keep it as pithy as possible, as succinct and comprehensive as possible. Or in other words, comprehensive without it being, unnecessarily lengthy. So, one of the first things that you will notice watching this VOD is that it doesn't actually have a custom thumbnail. The reason why it doesn't have a custom thumbnail is because I don't have access to the computer that I usually use to edit these things. For reasons that I'm not going to go into in depth, my desktop computer managed to fall off a table. It was leveraged off the table after I bumped my boom stand. The computer doesn't boot anymore. This is my computer of the last 7 years that I've been using consistently since then, and yeah, it has everything on it. Obviously, in terms of data, it's not going to disappear, but in terms of being able to access the data, at least that's on the SSD, in other words, all of my Monster Hunter stuff, I can't actually access that right now. So I'm limited to games that are on console, and the only one that I actually still play on its original system is this game, Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, so expect this game for a little while. Unfortunately, I can't get that computer repaired anytime soon, because the cost of doing so is a little prohibitive, considering that I'm going overseas soon. I'll be going to Japan for 2 weeks in less than a month's time. So I don't want to put that money forward for that right now. So what I've done is I've set everything up on my laptop from scratch. I really wasn't sure if it was going to work out. I'm not completely confident that everything looks and sounds as it should, to be honest with you, because I've been using the same instance of OBS for the last 6 years on that computer, and just been making small adjustments over time. In this case, I had to do everything from scratch. I think it's okay, but it's not like it's complicated, it's just I'm not completely certain, I guess is what I would say. It's been interesting though. The reason why I haven't been able to record for the last 3 weeks is obviously in large part due to what I just explained. But those moments in life where it feels like everything just goes wrong all at once? Well, in addition to that happening, a few days later I was stung by a Portuguese man-of-war, and then on the way back from being stung, I fell off my bicycle, landed on my elbow, and have been in some considerable pain since then. As of the beginning of this week, I've been on the mend. Noticeably on the mend, instead of just being in pain. But yeah, this arm is not completely usable. Far from completely usable. So everything's just been a nightmare. And then on top of that, it was New Year's, so I wasn't able to figure out the cost of repairing the computer that fell off my desk because all of the repair shops were closed for the New Year. So it's been, the timing of it's been ridiculous, and the number of things that have happened that have not gone in my favor have also been ridiculous. So that's the story, and obviously it could be told in greater detail, but it doesn't really need to be. We're here in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, and hopefully we're going to have a good time here. First time I've played a Monster Hunter game in about a month. I've been playing a lot of Elden Ring, actually. I haven't actually installed any other games on my laptop. I could install others, but I'm not really in the mood. So I've just been playing Elden Ring for the last 3 weeks, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been working on basically 4 builds simultaneously, and it's put a smile on my face despite the rather pitiful circumstances I've found myself in since you last heard me speak. I think I like this room because it's the guy XOX, his name is somewhat similar to mine, so hello Cubic, obviously hello Peaberry, and hello Epidemic. I've not seen you in something like 2 years, welcome back. Right, I was so distracted by the XOX that I didn't look at the full name. It's Love, Kiss, Hug, Kiss. That is the name of the person. It seems that they were part of a previous online session, and that has since collapsed. I'm using my Wii U Pro Controller. I'm not going to go into why. It's what I use when playing Generations Ultimate. You don't need the full explanation, but what I will say is that probably the last time that I used it, or the time before, I would have spilt something on it, and now the A button is a little bit sticky. There might be other buttons that are sticky as well, but the most noticeable one, and the most problematic one of those buttons so far is the A button, because, needless to say, I use it a lot. So, I'm not very impressed with the fact that this controller, which again is so... This is the most robust and impressive controller I have ever owned. This Wii U Pro controller. I'm not being hyperbolic, I'm not being unduly enthusiastic. This is the best controller. I'm not going to say the best because the button layout is not necessarily my favorite, but in terms of durability and robustness, this fucking controller has just endured. And yet, I spill something on it and then I start having problems. Not actual mechanical problems. Well, I guess it is a mechanical problem when the button is sticky, but, you know, it's not... There's no issue with the inputs or anything. But it's just frustrating that the controller is perfectly fine, but my dumbass ruins it. Ruins a perfectly good controller. It feels like these days I've just been struggling with modern controller manufacturing standards. In other words, stick drift on the DualShock 4 and... Yeah, it's been frustrating. So now that I've got a controller in my hands that actually works, it's annoying that I've actually managed to mess it up myself. This guy has a room which is very specific. It is EX Crystalbeard. He is Hunter rank 976. I don't really want to do any EX quests because it's not a very good warm-up, shall we say. I'm not averse to the idea of doing EX for the duration of this livestream. I'm just averse to the idea of doing it right now. As I said, I haven't played a Monster Hunter game in about a month, and I'm a special kind of guy. If I haven't played something for about a month, I come back to it like a newborn child. So I'm going to need a little bit of a warm-up. Maybe we'll refer to the first half of the entire live stream as the warm-up. How about that? It looks to be just a standard Gammoth here, standard G-rank Gammoth. Might bring a greatsword, that's probably going to be the most comfortable for me at this stage. What's my fire greatsword in this game? I may have two. I got a little bit strange with my greatswords here. Wrathlord Sunsword. We'll use this loadout, because I'm pretty happy with the sharpness, so... As I recall, if I like the sharpness of the greatsword as it is, I'll just use this greatsword set, and then if I want extra sharpness, I'll use that. The amount of wide sharpness that it has, given the fact that it's a greatsword, makes this perfectly acceptable. Obviously, purple sharpness is ideal, but to not have purple sharpness here in Generations Ultimate and Generations as well... Well, no, there is no purple sharpness in Generations. So yeah, in Generations Ultimate, if you don't have purple sharpness, it's not as big of a deal, because they did nerf purple sharpness. It's not to suggest that you're not getting a boost to the damage, it's just not as profound as it once was. Adamant Seed. I hope these guys can handle the fact that I'm getting ready for the quest. I've got them on tenterhooks at the moment. I'm getting some... So I actually said Wii U Pro Controller. I don't know if you're just making a comment about the Switch Pro Controller generally, but yeah, I haven't used the Switch Pro Controller. I'm not sure how it compares to the Wii U Pro Controller, but I am using the Wii U Pro Controller, and I don't think it's natively compatible with the Switch, if you were wondering. I'm actually using the Mayflash Magic NS, NS referring to Nintendo Switch, which is basically the thing you can plug into your Switch to use basically any wireless controller that's ever been manufactured in the history of the human race. And yeah, it's a beautiful little add-on. Amazing piece of hardware, actually. And that's what I'm using to use my Switch Pro controller. I decided that it was the most appropriate controller for me to use out of everything that I owned, so that's what I'm doing. Hello, Yells. Okay, you were actually referring to the Switch Pro Controller in comparison with the Wii U Pro Controller. I would imagine it's not going to be as good as the Wii U Pro Controller. I'm not sure how Nintendo are with their controller manufacturing. I haven't actually kept up to date at all. At all. I don't know if they're on a downward trend when it comes to that. Obviously the industry is, but Nintendo typically do things on their own terms. They don't just follow the industry trends. Maybe in regards to some things, but not everything. Nope. I did see a sudden change of animation there, and it didn't seem to be related to the mount. The mount came after that. Not sure what was happening. I was expecting a paralysis, but that is not what happened. What? No, white and purple can't be the same. They're saying... Well, Yells is saying white sharpness is 1.3, and purple is also 1.3. Do you mean like 1.35? It can't be the same. There's simply no way. I'm shocked that it was nerfed to that extent. Unless white was buffed. It's possible that white was buffed and then purple stayed the same. I'm not sure, but... yeah, relatively speaking, it has been nerfed. I've got Moonbreaker charged. I'd better use that. If I ever fail to use my Hunter Arts, it's because I tend to forget that they exist. Most of the games that I play don't have Hunter Arts. So I have to remind myself sometimes that they're actually there. Okay, white is 1.32 and purple from Generations Ultimate onward is 1.39. So there you go. It is as I suspected, but that is a noticeable decrease in damage relative to one another, white and purple. Not that I'm that up to date on it, but I seem to remember seeing the numbers many years ago and they were noticeably different for the two sharpness levels, so I can tell you that much. I can tell you that much. I'm glad that my audience knows more about it than me. Oh, okay, so unfortunately, Gammoth was in a sort of an unbound zone, like an area where unfortunately we cannot go. An out-of-bounds zone, I guess. So if we end up, in the process of mounting Gammoth, place ourselves out of the map, the mount does fail. It's one of the annoying things about Gammoth in this area. I've had that happen many times. I have had the displeasure of grinding Gammoth for trunk spines, which involves mounting and then attacking the trunk, and I used to be bedeviled by that constantly. Just being thrown off, just failed mounts. And again, it's not like you go back up to, I don't know, just 1 point shy of mounting him a second time. No, the whole thing gets reset. So, bad fucking luck. It's disappointing. Oh yeah, first live stream of 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. I have not been able to wish any of you a Happy New Year until now, but hope 2025 goes well for you. Hope 2024 went reasonably well for you. I had a very strange New Year. Mine was kind of awful, because I was in pain and feeling a bit sorry for myself for having all circumstances just close in around me in a most debilitating way. In a way that left me a little debilitated, both physically and emotionally. But, yeah, I'm over it now. Because, you know, time does heal. Obviously, not all wounds, depends on how much you fucked yourself, but I just fell off a bike, that's all I did. So, obviously that can sometimes be pretty bad, but wasn't in this case. Alright, Hunter Arts, let's not forget. Brimstone Slash. Ideally, I'd try to use this as a counter-attack. Oh, I did manage to get that out, which was good. I'm not sure what I broke, let's find out. It was... oh no. Again, imagine just giving me the fucking information when I first want to see it. No, that would be unreasonable. I have to go into page 2 and then see that it was trunk. I'd love to get some trunk spines, believe it or not, I haven't acquired them. It was many years ago now, probably 2 or 3 years ago, when I was trying to get trunk spines last. Still haven't gotten them, so very, very open to a lucky drop. You would think it wouldn't be that lucky if I've broken the trunk, but actually I suppose what it really was, when I think back to getting trunk spines, what was the most frustrating was actually breaking the trunk itself. And then obviously my frustration was amplified immensely by the occasional failure to even receive a trunk after having broken the trunk spine. So, the other way around. Not receiving a spine after breaking the trunk. But, yeah, I think that fortune will favor us on this occasion. I think that's how it will work. Come on. But yeah, some of you will be aware that I very much like blunt weapons in this game. To the point where I use both elemental and non-elemental blunt weapons. And of course, for ice, Gammoth is the way to go when it comes to blunt ice. I think I've only made maybe one Gammoth weapon for that purpose. And not for lack of trying to make more. So, yeah. Apparently Elderfrost is better for trunk spines. I don't know if that's true, because I know that Elderfrost has his own trunk drop. Or at least that's how I remember it to be. I think I tried both, and I was unimpressed with the results from both monsters. Just to be real clear. I don't think I've actually got one here. It doesn't look like it. What the fuck? Again, why? Just why? I needn't make any further inquiry than that. Why? And obviously the clincher is that you don't need just one, you need several. Just for one weapon. So, honestly, I don't know what they were thinking with trunk spines. It's a pretty big fucking part of the monster. Just take the damn spine out, Hunter. Maybe the Hunter just sucks at carving. Let's see if there's anything that needs upgrading for that. I can't remember, I think maybe there was a longsword. It's been long enough ago that I'm not sure what weapons I was actually making, but obviously I need to make sure that I'm upgrading things that I've got. Got Elderfrost Cleaver here. I don't know if I've been using that. I must be using that. Oh, I've got, see, Elderfrost trunk spines. So you've got Gammoth trunk spines and Elderfrost trunk spines. Apparently I was making this, and again, this looks perfectly reasonable for blunt ice. So, yeah, there you go. I must have fought Elderfrost Gammoth at some point, and didn't realize that I was trying to make Elderfrost weapons as well as Gammoth weapons. What else have we got? There is a hedge cutter in the background. Hopefully that's not audible. I do need to make sure that I'm ready to join these guys when the next quest goes on. We all know about the lack of patience of people these days in Monster Hunter. Okay, looks like I've been making Elderfrost weapons. I was not expecting that. Did I... perhaps I gave up on making the standard Gammoth weapons. It's possible. Well, I would need to check... Here's the irony. I do have a list of my tasks for this game, but it's on the computer that's not working right now. So, yeah. Oh. Quest is on the board. Let's find out. Feeding time. Nerscylla. I can never really think of something that I would like to use against Nerscylla. It always feels like there's a better choice than what I end up going with. Let's bring dual blades. Let's keep it simple, blunt dual blades, that way I'm not trying to get the right element. I can never remember the element that I want for Nerscylla. Is it ice? Probably ice. What I find is that if I'm not sure about the best element to go with, I never settle for that. I always need to know for certain what it is that I'm bringing. Fire or thunder. Well, always happy to be wrong. You are looking very much like a Japanese shogun. Although the big horns I don't think were ever used. Did they have big horns on their helmets? I don't think so. I'd say that's just a stylized version of it. It could have been done for ceremonial purposes, but I can't imagine them going into battle with giant horns like that. Hard to imagine. It's a bit like the Vikings. I don't think they've found any Viking helmets with horns on them. Or perhaps they have. It makes you wonder what the origin of that is. Apparently the archaeological evidence suggests otherwise, but I'm not sure. It must have come from somewhere. Maybe just someone's idea. Someone just decided that Vikings had horns on their helmets. But I have a feeling there might be some. I reckon there would be some, just not many. Certainly not the standard helmet design. So after having mentioned my adoration, my deep love for blunt weapons, I'm now using some. A Cantor was given new life in Generations and Generations Ultimate, courtesy of the Bludgeoner skill. Something I do need to do, though, is make another Bitter Affinity loadout. Because I really haven't done that. I used to do it. Oh, okay. I can't remember the last time I had that happen. If someone had asked me if it were possible for Nerscylla to do that, I would have said no. To be honest with you, I don't recall that ever happening in the past. Did you guys know that she could do that? Anyway. Maybe I just haven't been careless enough to allow it to happen before now. Oh, come on. Get moving. Oh, you're a bit too tall. This is a really big Nerscylla, actually. I think I can usually hit her from underneath. Not this time. Now I'm really not happy with my choice of weapon. If I were using a longsword, for example, I'd be able to do overhead swings and hit the body just fine. Oh well. How am I getting put on my hands and knees? It's a fight for supremacy over the head. And not a fight that I was expecting to have happen between two dual blade users. In the sense that I wasn't expecting to be flinched by dual blades. Let's just go for the abdomen, it's closer. But yeah, you can see there are lots of limbs everywhere. I really don't like using dual blades against monsters like these. I think, honestly, if Nerscylla was smaller, I would be fine with it, but this particular fight, this particular size, I'm not a fan. Not impressed. I just feel like I can't quite reach her with the consistency that I would like. Come on. Okay. Umbra Daiki is fighting her up here, and I understand why. It's because we will have the opportunity to knock her down in due course. I tend not to go out of my way to fight monsters up here, even though there is an advantage to doing that. The same can be said of Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, actually. She is looking very broken now. I think we've broken everything on her. I don't know why I'm opting to refer to her as female. I usually refer to her as male. Only to be contrarian, because people tend to refer to spiders as female. Of course, there are male and female spiders. It doesn't really matter in the end. There you go. Good night. Got some honey over there, but I probably won't gather it. I don't think I'm that desperate for it. I'm not desperate enough for this item to actually gather for it in the field. What an absurd notion. This is one of those monsters that quite disgustingly twitches after death. Pretty much all of the... Oh, what are they called? Carapacian? No. Carapacian are the crabs. Whatever you are. I forgot what you are. You know, the insect-like ones. I don't think this is even an arachnid, just to be clear. Let's just call this an insect. It's got the big abdomen, but I reckon this is just an insect. Is that what they're called? Anyway. I think it's Neoterran, isn't it? You've written Temnoceran, but I think it was Neoterran with a P, which I presume to be silent because otherwise I'm going to sound like I've got some kind of speech impediment. Let's have a look. I'm sure that the classification will be in the monster list. I'm curious now. I thought it was Neoterran. Where art thou? Monster list. Yeah, Neoterran. For Hornator anyway. I believe that's the classification for Nerscylla as well. Let's have a look. Where art thou? I'm blind, obviously. I do this sometimes. Let's try again. Let's just keep doing it. Let's go through the whole fucking list repeatedly. I was not expecting you to be underneath Seltas. Oh, it is Temnoceran. Okay. So, they have their own special classification. Interesting. You say that they're small. No, you can see Seltas Queen is a Neoterran. As is Atul. So, yeah, looks like Nerscylla has its own special classification. I don't know why, but especially considering that Atul is also a Neoterran. It could be Neopteran, but I doubt it. I just have a feeling, you know. Got a feeling in my waters. Alright, something ranged, I think. Probably a bow. Well, I've never heard of that monster epidemic. I'd better make my decision quickly. For obvious reasons. How about we just do Pierce, whatever my Pierce water bow is. I've got no idea. Pierce water. Oh, I think it's, I think it is this. Royal Udroth. Could be a load-up bow that I use, but... Again, I'm trying to save time here. I will settle for standard charge level. Someone ate for insurance. Well, quite rightly. Anything that resembles a spider has its own classification, but again, that doesn't look like an arachnid. I saw that it seemed more like 6 legs. Unless you count the mandibles in front. Anyway. No vials? Says Yells. Yeah, you're dead right. That's me, forgetting to bring vials to a bow hunt. That is me. No, I just feel a little bit under strain when I play with random people. I never take the time to actually prepare for quests properly because, yeah, if I take too long, they're going to depart without me. As paranoid as it sounds, there is plenty of video evidence of that to prove that it is a genuine issue. I also have reason to... Oh, that's right, this is a game where I don't have to wait for the mount to conclude. But yeah, I think I might actually be able to use load up with this bow as well for Pierce. But I didn't want to take the time to figure that out. Fortunately, it's just a standard Basarios. I don't actually need to be properly optimized for the find. We've got triple volley unlocked. I really do need to get triple volley 3. With the number of villager requests that I've done, it does shock me that I don't have villager... triple volley 3. How about villager volley, where I just launch villagers at people? Or at monsters in this case. That would be good. With some of the, you know, after all of the villager requests that I had to do in this game, to get certain things that I needed, I would have been quite happy to do a villager volley. Just put them all on a big fucking trebuchet and launch them into a Lao Shan Lung or something. I would have enjoyed that. It has to do with mounting. So, much like, for example, Basarios in Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, depending on how you mount him, you can actually do what's called a stomach mount. The fishmongress would do the most damage. Yeah, probably. Do we have any larger villagers than that? Probably. There must be one bigger than her. There's another stomach mount. I haven't seen that in a while. Ich bin drauf! Obviously the mounting message for the German-speaking population of the world. Oh, go away, you pink piece of shit. Like, I have no interest in paying you any attention whatsoever. And yet you force me to do so. Maybe the Hearth Chief? He was pretty big. This is one of the more dangerous attacks that Basarios can do. He's not very dangerous in any other situation, but that particular attack... Oh no. If you fight a Hyper Basarios and you find yourself on the receiving end of that attack that he just did, the triple fireball, that's serious business. I'd like to withdraw the comment that I made before that sort of outward fire gas attack as he walks forward is the only thing that he does that's dangerous. Seriously, fight a Hyper Basarios with anything ranged and see how you fare with that triple fireball attack. It's it's pretty bad. I actually had issues with it in the past. I died to it more than once. I'm not going to say that I would constantly die to it, but it happened frequently enough that I still remember it. I still remember it happening at least 3 times and being very annoyed by it. And perhaps even if I didn't die, I certainly lost almost all of my health very suddenly. But yeah, obviously Basarios is not a very complicated monster. We need to bring back Pink Basarios. Where's Pink Basarios? What's the point of playing a Monster Hunter game if I can't hunt Pink Basarios? It's a bit weird to have the aiming... What do you call that? Is it a reticle? It would be nice if that could be removed. It, in my opinion, spoils the immersion of the final screen. So we've gone from a hedge trimmer to a lawnmower. On certain days of the week, the unit block next to me have work done. It starts with a leaf blower, then there's a hedge trimmer, and then there's a lawnmower. I have obviously decided to record while that's going on, which is less than ideal. Turns with rim, and my gosh. My gosh. What would possess you to name your character My Gosh? Or maybe I'm just being unfair. Maybe it's the person's actual birth name and I'm being extremely unfair. I've never seen that sword and shield before. What is that? Oh, it's just the White Academy dagger. I think I've never seen it before because it sucks. But you know, that might not be true. It might be okay. What kind of armor set do you think this guy is aiming to make? Do you think he's making any particular kind of armor set? Or he's just making whatever he can? You need a Monster Hunter friend. That's what you need. The Lost Expedition. I suppose I don't mind helping you. Let's bring Sword and Shield. In fact... Well, what do I usually use for blunt sword and shield? It must be... this set. I think I've got a Volvidon sword and shield that's fire. Fire blunt. Which is weird, but... Oh yeah, what's this thing again? Just some event weapon that I'm making. Doesn't look very exciting. Alright, where's that fucking thing? Bruising Beak. Is that Volvidon? It looks like it. Or it could be Uroktor. It could be an Uroktor Sword and Shield. That would make more sense for the element. Usually Volvidon is either non-elemental or paralysis. Actually, yeah, you can see the head on the axe there. Oh, for goodness sake. No Hunter Arts equipped. That's one of the reasons why I don't like using this set. But of course I don't have enough armor set slots to create my own, or rather a set that is specific to Blunt Sword and Shield. This is why I have to do this. Okay. Chaos Oil 3 and Sword Dance 3. I usually have it in the other order. Okay, let's do that. Swap them around. Maybe there's a button for swapping. I think there is, isn't there? Yeah, see? Swap with Y. Oh, never mind. Swap with Y? Yes, you can do that. Yeah, Round Force 3 is something that I will obviously avoid. For those who are unaware, it's a bit of a troll hunter art. In certain situations it can be useful, because what it actually does is it's the same as the other Round Force hunter arts, but it will actually launch your teammates in the air. Depends on what kind of teammate you have. Obviously there can be benefits to having your whole team mounting the monster constantly, but if you're in the middle of something like a greatsword combo, I don't think you're going to be very appreciative of being launched in the air. Yeah, Chaos Oil is obviously a very effective arm. Very good. I never actually bring oils, so it works. I didn't bring oils before having Chaos Oil either, just to be clear. I don't know why, I think maybe I was just being a bit inflexible. Wasn't used to having oils for Sword and Shield, so I just didn't bring them. I suppose it wasn't that I was opposed to it, it was never on the mind. I just don't have it built into me to have to bring a special thing, like a special consumable for use with a Sword and Shield, so I never really engaged with that system, but obviously I'm not opposed to Hunter Arts, and the benefits of Chaos Oil 3 are fairly self-explanatory. It's something like all of the oils combined into one. And I think the duration will be affected by 1, 2, and 3. So, longer duration for each level. I don't know if Round Force has iframes. I heard from a friend that, well, the effect of Round Force 3 was something that I heard from a friend, and consequently I never used the Hunter Art. So I don't have much experience with it. I think I used a bit of Round Force 2, but it was long enough ago that I just don't recall if it has iframes or not. It might do. What's on the agenda again? It is Barroth, so we want to go this way. Good day. Might paintball you. I do not have any ability to resist roars with this loadout. So again, this is a bludgeoner elemental set. Can show you how it is. So we've got Mind's Eye, Bludgeoner, Repeat Offender, Critical Boost, and Divine Blessing. Mind's Eye obviously is meant to function in conjunction with low sharpness. Maybe some weapon types you wouldn't really need it, but I would strongly recommend having Mind's Eye for any bludgeoner loadout. Well, that was interesting. It looks like you cancelled out of your running animation there, Barroth. That ended up working in your favour very well. It meant that you could reorient yourself much faster. Oh no, he seems to do that, just in general. Interesting. So how they've done G-Rank Barroth here in this game is that instead of forcing him to fully commit, or rather fully complete an animation, he can actually just stop shy of it, and then reposition and go into, you know, a different attack or something. It's an interesting way of making him faster. Maybe a slightly cheesy way of doing it, but I suppose it's better than making him physically move faster, because then it can just look like you've sped up the fight, quite literally. That's more or less how they did it in 3 Ultimate. Zombie W has fainted. Got a mount. I'm making way so that I don't get hit. I've got no idea what a Barroth does when mounted. I haven't really seen it many times, to be honest with you. Round Force does have iframes. It sounds about right. Still, the mobility of a sword and shield is such that I really don't feel like I need iframes with a Hunter Art. But yeah, if you need an evasive maneuver, then that's great. Who was the high rank? Sorry, the lower HR guy again? Was it? I think it's my gosh, isn't it? This does not bode well. I mean, we're here trying to help this guy whose defense is far from acceptable. And the 2 people with acceptable defense have died, so I don't know what they're playing at. They need to step up their game, because they're actually putting us in jeopardy. They are raising the chance of us failing this quest. By all rights, it should be my gosh with his poor defense, risking us the successful completion, or putting in jeopardy the successful completion of this quest. But no, he's not. He's actually performing perfectly fine. I mean, I don't know what his DPS is like, but again, surviving sometimes is more important than anything else when you've got a team. Doesn't matter how good the rest of us are if the quest is over before we can kill the monster. I do have Sword Dance available, but that is a very opportunity-focused Hunter Art. That is one where, for example here, and I'm not going to aim for the tail with this, for precisely that reason. For precisely that reason, I did not aim for the tail, but someone else cut it anyways, so there you have it. Ooh, very itchy nose. Yeah, he's probably building his armor set for defense and not giving any thought to the skills that he's got. But yeah. It's not something you see as much these days, but it definitely was quite common in the past. Especially in the 3rd generation. I can understand why people are tempted to do that, but look, I don't think you have to be focused on armor skills, right? You don't have to learn what skills do, necessarily. It helps, it really does help, but to completely disregard the armor skill system is kind of unnecessary when you can just make full armor sets. You're not obliged to make a mixed armor set. You're not required to make the best possible loadout skills-wise, but it's really not a good idea to completely ignore the skill system. But for some people, unless they're told that, they're not really going to understand that they're making a mistake. Everyone has different instincts when they come into a Monster Hunter game. So who am I to comment, one way or the other? Good night. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. So yeah, as I said, I'm not going to be able to record any other games for a while. So the Endgame series is going to be a little bit unusual for about 2 months. Because here's the time scale. I'm not going to have access to my computer within the next month, because I don't want to repair it right now, based on the cost involved. And then, in about a month's time, I'll be going to Japan for 2 weeks. And then I'll be coming back. So, you know, realistically, it's going to be about 2 months before you're able to see me play another Monster Hunter game. So, I hope you enjoy Generations Ultimate, because you're going to be seeing a lot of it, long story short. It's not the way I want to do it, but it's a damn sight better than just not doing anything. Obviously, in terms of the other channel, the Doomlink channel, I can record anything on a console, and there are plenty of games that I play on consoles, but for Link Inverse, the Link Inverse YouTube channel, which is Monster Hunter focused, it's Generations Ultimate, and that's it. From here on out. It's unfortunate, but it's the best compromise that I can make. Alright. So we had the HR 116 in the HR 110 go arse over tit and end up at the camp, while, my gosh, he held his own. He stayed alive, and he did alright. Of course, I'm not one generally to comment on people fainting in quests, but in my opinion, you do need to step up when you've got a guy with... hold on. When you've got a guy with this loadout, you do need to step up. Although his defense isn't that terrible. It's not good, but at least he's got the two G rank pieces there for 637 defense. That's sort of... that's better than gunner defense, so... he's not completely impotent. So yeah, I'm going to assume that we will be prioritizing whatever this guy wants to do, being HR 12. I haven't seen so many HR 12 people before. Or I guess non-HR broken people. There must be a new wave of players coming into Generations Ultimate, which is good. That's brilliant. It is to be encouraged. It's actually heartening that in the year of 2025 you've got, well, a sort of class of 2025 or 2024 coming into a 4th gen game. Because I feel that the experience of what is now being referred to as old gen is becoming more and more distant. So it's good that people still want to play these games. And if you're coming in at HR 12, you've given it a good chance. If you're still playing up until this point, it means that you're probably enjoying yourself. And even if you're not, if you come away from it not having enjoyed yourself, at least you'll have an informed opinion on the matter. You haven't just given up after the first few ranks of the game. Why have you posted this? This is HR 4. I'm assuming he needs something from it, but... yeah, this is actually not my room. What does the room say? Oh, it's a turns room, so in that case we will do his quest. It would be pretty rude to ignore the fact that it's a turns room. I didn't actually see what monsters were there, so I don't know if there's a common element, but I'll just bring something blunt. Maybe blunt lance? Because we know that I have a bit of a penchant for blunt weapons. I think I've mentioned it once or twice in this recording. Well, I'm still going to go with this, but let's see. Oops. Oh yeah, fire weakness for the most part. Still. It's a good opportunity to use this lance, because this is definitely a lance that would not get any use by anyone, unless it were Generations Ultimate. And that's what I love about Bludgeoner the most. It's not just an alternative to Awaken, for me personally. To explain that, it's an opportunity to have a weapon that achieves its damage differently to other weapons that I would have. So if I've got a standard fire sword and shield that I really like, I can then make a blunt fire sword and shield, and it feels like I'm achieving my damage differently to the other thing. So that's what I used to do with Awaken as well. But what I really like about Bludgeoner is that it opens the door to using weapons that otherwise just would be crap on account of their low sharpness. So let's look at this thing. 370 damage, which is great, but if you've got green sharpness and no Bludgeoner, that's just a complete deal breaker. It's not worth using at all. But with Bludgeoner, I can turn the 370 attack into 423. So that tends to make up for the poor sharpness multiplier. Alright. I don't even know what's going on. Young Jim seems to know precisely what's going on. So I will follow his lead. But yeah, as I said, I do definitely need to explore Bitter Affinity again. It doesn't just have to be the ancient weapons, because that's what I was using Bitter Affinity for originally. I had a Bludgeoner, Bitter Affinity, ancient weapon setup. And I deleted that armor set maybe around 2019, 2020. I don't remember why. I must have just removed it in favor of something else that I really needed to make in terms of armor sets, but yeah, it doesn't have to be the ancient weapons necessarily. I'm sure there are other weapons with negative affinity where Bitter Affinity will be worth using. I don't really know clearly how it works. I think how it works is that your negative crits become damage boosting rather than damage reducing. Probably not to the extent where it's the same as a critical hit, but I think it increases... Goodness sake, I have to get away from this guy. He chose to do the most disruptive maneuver with his switch axe. One that a lance user like myself simply cannot countenance. Is he actually dead? He is actually dead, I think. Oh no, his thing's moving. I don't know why, but I thought that a grey paintball meant that he was dead. I think that's how it was in previous games, but obviously not here. So I have to actually watch for his flash stone. Alright, he is dead now. But yes, his stone will flash if he's still alive. I'm almost certain that in the older games, the paintball was something you could check. But yeah, I just wonder if, like, if I'm using Bitter Affinity, what would be an appropriate negative value to use as a minimum? So for instance, maybe negative 20 wouldn't be enough for me to consider using it with a Bitter Affinity loadout, but maybe negative 40 would be. Or maybe negative 30, I don't know. This is why I would have to look into it when selecting my weapons. Alright, so I've got 3 Hunter Arts here. Corkscrew Jab, obviously very useful. Tempted to use Enraged Guard here. Ooh. There we go. What does that give me? That gives me red. I think red is the best. So I probably don't need to explain what Enraged Guard does. You've just seen it in action. Gives you a damage boost for a time if you've blocked an attack with it. And I'm assuming that this will stack perfectly fine with Corkscrew Jab, so that's why I did that first. Just trying to get Corkscrew Jab out now. That should be pretty devastating damage, what I just did there. One would hope so. But yeah, I think this is the only loadout that I have that uses Enraged Guard, so it's nice to make use of it. I tend to use Shield Assault and Corkscrew Jab, and the reason for Shield Assault is mainly to close the distance quickly when the opportunity arises. It's just nice to have that option of additional mobility for certain situations. So yeah, as I've hopefully made clear, I don't just use Shield Assault as soon as it charges. I wait for an opportunity for it to actually be helpful. Oh, and he's dead. These are hyper monsters, but remember this is high rank, so it's not going to be very challenging. And I think next we've got Seltas Queen, don't we? I would assume that she would start in Area 5, probably. That's what my instincts tell me. Yeah, negative crit with Bloodbath Greatsword sounds good. Negative 30%. Because if you think about it, and sometimes I get a little confused with this, I believe that in this game, Critical Eye... Well, you'd probably be better off with using Repeat Offender rather than Critical Eye here. Is Repeat Offender positive 30 affinity? Because even if it is, so like whether you're getting Critical Eye +3 or Repeat Offender, you're not actually going to get a damage boost. What you're doing is negating the negative effect of your minus 30% affinity. Whereas with Bitter Affinity, I believe you're completely negating the demerit of negative affinity and then getting a small boost from it. So I think that's probably going to be more useful to you in the long run. That's my current understanding of how Bitter Affinity works. It could be incorrect or some sort of misremembering of the facts, but until I'm told otherwise, that's how I assume it to work. Hopefully it's not something like only some of your negative crit procs will be good. I'm hoping that it's all of them. Again, have to keep away from Mr. Young Jim. It's alright, I wouldn't expect him to change the way he plays. I am a lance user, and honestly, when you're using a lance, everything puts you on your hands and knees. Just so happens that when he's swinging around his massive axe, it is particularly inconvenient for me. Let's see if I can get Enraged Guard on you. Come on, what are you doing? I tend to get that. When I don't want to be hit, the monster aims for me, and then when I want to be hit, it doesn't work out that way. Come on. See, now why is that yellow? You'd think that would be a more damaging attack than what I blocked against the last monster. Guess I'm going crazy. Corkscrew Jab is already charged up. I can get that from this distance. Excellent. Take that, Seltas. You just got bucked off that fucking Neo-Terran. Gotta get some rodeo training in, my friend. I discovered somewhat recently that rodeo riding, or whatever you call that, don't even know how to describe it, just, you wouldn't say rodeoing, surely. But the rodeo, it's actually an international sport. I thought it was extremely American, and I suppose it is extremely American, but it just happened to be on the television in a pub that I went to in the Blue Mountains about 8 months ago. And no, sorry, that was, when was this? This was over a year ago, actually. And there were participants from a number of countries. I believe South America. There were a few participants. It was interesting to watch. Definitely not something I would watch in my own time. Watching bulls losing their shit does not really... it doesn't really light the fires of my adrenaline in the way it does for some people, obviously. I'm in some part concerned for the welfare of the animal, and then second of all, concerned about the thing just randomly charging people who are standing nearby once it's bucked off the person. But, yeah, it was interesting to watch. It's interesting to see people who are obviously very, very skilled at it, and then they get immediately thrown off, and you can tell that they are completely devastated at the fact that they got immediately thrown off. Like, to the point where it's going to ruin the rest of their year. And perhaps in the case of some of them might be a career ender, I don't know. But, yeah, it was fascinating. Just a random aside. All right. And now, presumably, we're going back to helping the HR-12 guy. You know, I'm minded to recommend that he actually get an armor set, but if he wants to do key quests instead, that's over to him. It's his experience. I'm sure he'll figure out how to make an armor set one day. At least I've been able to see a sword and shield that I never see. For good or for ill. I'm sure, I mean, it doesn't look that great. Can I actually... Okay, so it's unupgraded. I'm sure that if you were to actually upgrade the thing, it would be decent. But I'm just seeing, for a G-rank weapon, not just very low attack, but also very low status. There's almost nothing going on. You want to do Boltreaver G1, which seems to have no relation to anything that you have equipped, and does not bear any relation to your progress through the game. So, if that's what you want to do, however, I will indulge you. So, Ice Element, obviously. Someone named Chaos has joined the room. What a chaotic name. Should I bring a hammer? No, I might not do that. There are many things that I would be willing to hammer, and then I quite quickly realized that Boltreaver Astalos is not one of those monsters. How about an insect glaive? Sure. Don't know when I would have last used this, just in general, but particularly against this monster. Fimbulvetter. I think Fimbul means like frost or frozen, something like that. I don't really have a clear basis upon which to claim that with any authority. I seem to remember that a band that had formed before Behemoth, which included some of its members, were in a band called Fimbulwinter. I'm thinking, well, Fimbulwinter? And then an ice weapon here called Fimbulvetter? Probably relates to ice. So, to say that any amount of wisdom or knowledge went into my assessment of the word Fimbul would be disingenuous at best. Yeah, EX Boltreaver is an experience for sure. I've definitely had success fighting him in the past, but not without difficulty. It does require the whole team to come together and really just buckle down and play properly. Are you really what we want here? Boltreaver Astalos. It's weird. I thought that he was always blue, but I guess he's not always blue. Surely I'm not going insane, is it? I guess he's just more spiky. Yeah, he's a bit spikier, isn't he? If you look at his crest, I don't know if it's better to call it a blade or a crest, but there you go. Now he's turning... Not fully, but oh, there you go. There is his colour change. I don't know why I thought he was always blue, but yeah, that's just his enraged mode. Alright, let's get to actually playing the game. Legs. And where would the white be? Maybe the wings or the chest? Might have to target that specifically. There you go. Who needs Extract Hunter? Remember the old days of actually having to do this shit manually? I mean, really, they can nerf the mounting capabilities of this weapon type if they want. But I can't really take that very seriously when they give us a hunter art like Extract Hunter, which just automatically gives you all of your 3 colours. Like, I complain about it, and yet I have it equipped, but do you know, it's so good that I have to have it. I can't just ignore it. I would rather live in a world where it didn't exist, but if it does exist, I'm going to use it. So... Admittedly, I'm not that way with everything, but certainly with this, I cannot resist the temptation. Now, even though I have Mounting Master, I'm probably not going to do any more mounting of this monster, because now that I've had my first mount, which came out very quickly, again, the diminishing returns are so acute when it comes to mounting with the insect glaive in this game that I'm not going to sit here and try to get a second mount. I might do it later if I change my mind, but yeah, 3 mounts in one hunt doesn't happen. Now, I do generally consider it a failure if I have acquired my colours manually and then in that time failed to get Extract Hunter charged up. So obviously I'm not playing very well. It's also worth mentioning that my loadout is extremely inappropriate for this quest. I'm going to show you why, and then hopefully you know why now. I'm using mostly Assurient, and just to be very clear, Savage Devil Joe is one of the most Thunder Weak monsters in the series. And this is one of the most electrified monsters of the series. So this is not a good choice of armor set when it comes to elemental resistances, or indeed elemental vulnerabilities in this case. So, I guess I've switched on hard mode, is what we can say. I don't think that's even the way I want to go, is it? You would think that I'd know where I'm going. I was basically born and bred in the forest and hills. Oh, sorry, what do they call it now? The Verdant Hills, which is a good description. I'm not going to turn my nose up at that retranslation. The original translations of Monster Hunter were very literal, whereas the translations 3rd Gen and onwards had more... They took more creative license, which is perfectly appropriate, because, as I've explained, the people who are playing the game are never going to see the original Japanese, right? So, as long as the translation isn't a complete departure from what was said in Japanese, I think it's okay for it to be a little more... I don't know if the word flavoursome is appropriate. A little more colourful. I think it can be more colourful than it was in 1st and 2nd Gen. Alright, let's get our Extract Hunter on target, because that's the main thing you have to worry about with this Hunter art. You can, at times, get caught out with your pants down and firing off an Extract Hunter completely off target. But today is not going to be a day where you get to see that. I think what I find most insulting about Extract Hunter is the fact that it lasts for so long. The idea that it's somehow balanced out by the fact that you need to get that ranged attack on target. It's absurd, you know. I would say that Extract Hunter is one of those Hunter arts that just... it trivializes the weapon type. It lends itself to the Insect Glaive in a way that actually makes it out of balance with the game, in my opinion. But maybe you could argue that the Insect Glaive deserves that if it's been so roundly neutered by the reduced mount damage in this game. There is an argument for everything. Probably should be getting in position on the head, but I am not. Ooh. That's one of the reasons why I didn't. The head is a dangerous place to be with the Astalos. I'm getting my next Extract Hunter built up, or charged up. That's one of the things about Extract Hunter lasting this long. It is the fact that you would have to basically die and then spend most of your Extract Hunter duration, like effect duration, making your way back to the monster in order to not be able to charge up your next round of Extract Hunter with ease. So I think it would have been better if they didn't have it last for quite so long. That's just me. That is my opinion. The leaf blower is back. It won't last for long. I think he's just blowing away the aftermath of his lawn mowing. That was a pretty satisfying Extract Hunter. Oh, nearly walked into it actually. That's a pretty dangerous attack. I don't think you expect it to come while he's in flight. So, yeah, I didn't know that he could do that. Oh, it's a capture quest. This is why I fucking hate capture quests. Sorry, HR-12 guy. That's not a successful hunt. I can't stand capture quests. I really can't. It's not the fact that you have to capture the monster. That I can deal with. It's the fact that you get quest failed. You don't even get any rewards. It is a complete failure. It is the same as if you had fainted 3 times. I would be much more amenable to the idea of capture quests if we could have wound rewards. Some sort of indication that we achieved something during the fight. We didn't just turn up and then throw the hunt. Young Jim says, missed. I mean, that's a... And Chaos says, man. My gosh says, I'm going to eat. Yeah, well. You do that. Now we just need to cross our fingers that young Jim doesn't post a goddamn high rank quest again. I will tell Chaos that he can post. Oh, for goodness sake. Do you know why I did that? It's because I'm used to Y being where X is, okay? Fucking Nintendo controllers. Oh, I see. My gosh is not actually going to leave the room. He's just going to occupy a space and be AFK and then force us to hunt with a group of 3 rather than a group of 4. That's not really the right way to go about it. But... very well. It's not, though, is it? It depends how long he intends to eat for, but... Oh, young Jim's out of here. I think he may have picked up on... No, maybe he left because I had decided that Chaos would post and not him. Not sure if that was indicative of a small tantrum being thrown, or if he left for other reasons. Possibly appertaining to my gosh deciding to take up an entire slot in the room, while not actually playing the game. Zombies back. Welcome back. I can't quite remember the circumstances in which you left the first time, but anyway. I seem to remember you died or something. Magala. Chaotic Magala, more specifically. Heaven and Hell. It was a decent Black Sabbath album. It was okay, I didn't mind it. I like Dio in Rainbow, and I like Ozzy in Black Sabbath. That's just me. Magala. Yeah, let's bring a Gunlance, why not? Fire or dragon? Fire. Let's do fire. Endgültige Wahrheit. Is that German enough for you? Endgültige Wahrheit. A very harsh language, to be sure. A very harsh language. Do you think harsh languages can be romantic? Like, can you, whisper sweet nothings in German? Oh. I'm sure a German person could tell me. I just wondered these things. Really cool gun lance though. I do like it a lot. Look at those stats. Absolutely nothing to complain about. What's the shot level though? Shot level 5. It's not even shot level 4. This is at the zenith of what you could expect of a gun lance. What you could reasonably expect. Solid attack, solid element. A good chunk of sharpness, courtesy of sharpness plus 2, and shot level 5. Mwah. Well, thank you for that contribution, Epidemic. It is not going to be appropriate for us to wait for my gosh to finish eating, because we've got no idea. Like, he could be having a banquet for all we know. He could be having an 8-course meal. So no, I'm not going to suggest that we wait for him. It's a bit unseemly that he's decided to not leave. You know, it's not his room. If it were his room, that would be a very different story. But it's definitely not his room. But that's alright, he hasn't given it any thought. I will explain. And I mean properly AFK. Let's go, zombie. What do you mean I don't know? What don't you know? Do you not know what AFK means? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Maybe. Take it from me. Come on. You joined this room later on. Just take it from me, man. I would be much happier to explain things in this level of detail if I had a keyboard. I do not have a keyboard right now. He's eating. So with the greatest respect, don't give me the I don't know maybe. Give me the oh okay, and then ready the fuck up. Like it's because that's the beginning and the end of the matter. You've got 60 seconds. I haven't been counting, but I suggest that we're at about 40 to 45. I'm sure that this is coming from a good place, what you're doing, but seriously, mate. Get with the program. So what have we got? Brachydio's tail. That is the ultimate example of something specific. Uh-oh. Cat room. What's happening in the cat room? Do I have to equip a cat and then start role-playing with these people? Do I have to speak in feline English? Ironically, this guy's... both of this guy's names would be appropriate for a feline. Because his normal name is Chorizo. Chorizo is something I would probably name my my pet dash hound. But anyway. Should I keep with the gun lance? Probably. To be honest with you, I was a little distracted by this person's name, so I'm going to double check to see what's actually on the quest board. Hypercatcher Archer. I will stick with gun lance. I think he is weak to fire, isn't he? Yeah, he is weak to fire, so let's just use this. Sorry, I didn't fully produce the sound necessary to pronounce that name, or that word. But, moving on. I'm not sure where Guts the cat is. Must be preparing himself for the quest. You're in a barrel, actually. You're that weird feline from Poke Village that hides in a barrel. I love that the lid has to remain open at all times. Even if he lies down on the ground and then gets back up, the lid stays open. The hinge has been glued, I suspect. Oh, we've gone from Guts to Gitano. He has a number of cats to select. He's a ninja cat. Alright. Hypercatcher Watcher. Oh, unfortunately, Dun Dun. Dun Dun. That is the name of a person. He joined the room just as we departed, but of course, he left as soon as he realized that. It is HR9, just making sure. If I'm not certain, it's better to make sure. It really is truly ridiculous to see this guy with his feline in a barrel fighting a monster, but that's alright. Whatever people want to do, you know? I just don't use palicos. I'm not a palico person. But that's my preference. It's only a catcher watcher. I needn't worry too much about it. No, blast dash, please. In the same way that I use shield advance. Is that what it's called? Shield? Well, you know, the hunter art with the lance where I'm advancing forward with the shield. I use blast dash in the same way. It's opportunity based. Well, not opportunity based. It's circumstantial, so if the situation calls for its use, then I will make use of it. Alright, let's get a full combo out here. Just about takes us into the red, but not quite. Keeping my shield raised because I need to take care of my health. The hunts have been going okay, Peaberry. I did have to relocate because a person we were hunting with decided to go AFK and eat instead of leave the room and eat. And then a person who joined the room after the fact rather pig-headedly refused to depart on the quest, despite the fact that I explained that the aforesaid dinner-eating human being was AFK. Or lunch eating, or breakfast eating. I don't know what they're eating, and quite frankly, it's no business of mine. I'm out of that room now. Alright. Should be good to do a Wyvern Fire now. Let's just try to get it on target. It's a little risky to do it now, but particularly when you get a knockdown like that. Oh well. It's unfortunate, but most of that was off target. I shot despite the monster not being within my range because I always hope for a situation where the monster runs into the shot by the time it comes out. So even though it doesn't look very methodical, it looks a little bit random and as if I'm not paying attention to the hunt as it's playing out in front of me. It's more like just hopeful play. It's sort of like what you would do with a longsword with your final slash of the spirit combo. Even if you're out of range of the monster, you just sort of hope that maybe the monster will suddenly become close enough to be hit by the time it goes out, or perhaps even during your swing. Same idea. I think, in my opinion, if you've already reached the point where you're at the end of the combo, may as well just let the shot out and pray. Ugh. Last time I thought you were doing that attack, Ketchawasha, you didn't do your big spinning maneuver. This time you did do it. Are you scratching your armpit? This is not the time or the place. Alright, this time I'll be able to actually get my Wyvern Fire on target. Definitely need to sharpen up though. Think I can get a Dragon Blast out? Oh yeah. Both the Wyvern Fire and the Dragon Blast have been much more effective on the second attempt. Okay. Hyper Ketchawatcha, but obviously doesn't have that much health. He's a tier 1 monster. Yeah, I can't really comment on what sort of cats these people are using because I don't know shit about cats. I used the Prowler once in Generations and twice in this game, because I had to clear a Prowler quest to get specific coins in the arena. Aside from those 3 instances, I have not used the Prowler and have not been tempted to use the Prowler. Oh, how are you still alive? I think it's time to die now, Ketchawatcha. Thank you very much. Almost makes me feel like I'm not that damaging. Apparently they're using gathering cats to spam boomerangs. To be honest with you, I don't even really know what that means. I mean, I get throwing boomerangs, but... yeah. As I say, can't really comment. If I am going to fight a Quechua though, this is probably the quest where I would want to do it. Because otherwise, he'll just die too quickly, won't he? And that's what I like about hyper monsters. It's an opportunity for you with a group of people who are quite well-built, endgame, to fight particularly lower rank monsters and not have the quest be over within 2 minutes. That's the thing about hyper monsters that I think functionally makes the game more fun in a lot of ways. It allows otherwise very basic hunts to actually feel substantial. Very simple, quick, easy hunts can become an 8-minute affair rather than a 3-minute affair. The argument can be made that hyper monsters are not a very creative way to make a monster strong or more challenging, but I don't really know if that's a worthwhile argument to make at this stage. I should take this opportunity to go to the bathroom, because I do need to. I'll be back in just a moment. Seems that we've lost one of our players. One of our cats! No! I have enough use of my left arm to be able to do that, and that's about it. Alright. Let's demonstrate that I am actually here. A coil to arms. What kind of accent would cause one to say coil instead of call? Because I know, like, girl being goyle, right? She's a nice girl. That's probably not the correct accent either. It doesn't matter. Look, I don't actually know how to do those accents. But the point is that I can imagine IR being OI. But AL being OI? The point is, it's a shit joke. Okay? That's the summary. Shit joke. Alright, so... what should I bring? How about a longsword? And what is it? Ice? I think ice is your weakness, Najarala. I will make sure. Or I suppose I could bring poison. Yeah, let's do that. Let's bring a poison longsword. I don't really bring the occult Dietor to many quests these days. Something a little different. Oops. Bumped my boom stand there. This is just a standard Najarala, so there's no real need for us to wait for a fourth person. The community is active enough that just in preparation for the next quest, there's every likelihood that we'll get a fourth person. The bone scythe thingy is your favorite poison longsword. Not completely sure which longsword you mean. I was sort of... There is a bone scythe that... Oh. Interestingly, there are a few longswords in this series that can be described as bone scythe thingy. So I actually don't really know which one you mean. But anyway... Two that actually come to mind are the white monoblos longsword, which I don't think is actually in this game, and also a weapon that was poison in first generation, but is no longer a poison weapon. It was previously a greatsword, it's now a longsword, and it's a very high raw longsword in this game. Non-poison. So anyway... Not too sure which one you mean. But the stats of this one are pretty reasonable. 290, 42. 25% affinity. That's probably where it makes up for any lacking raw damage. It's in the affinity. Because I don't believe I have any added affinity on this set. No, I don't. Oh, for goodness sake. Get away from the tip of the tail, so that you may stop bouncing foolishly. Alright. That was a situation where I decided that it would be best not to try and get the Fade Slash on target. I was pretty certain it wouldn't work. Oh. I tried. I really tried to jump over him there. I was banking on that happening. I was banking on that animation taking place, but it just wasn't good enough. That's funny. Alright, first poison has procced. I think I'm just going to do Unhinged Spirit. I'm not feeling very effective at the moment. Where are you going? Are you trying to leave the area and failing miserably? Well, I failed miserably by leaving the area. So at least one of us is doing something along those lines. I'm so out of range. But that can change very quickly. That's why I persisted. It's not a very intelligent way to play the game, but it does work. Well, quest over. I'll do maybe 2 more hunts. Something like that. We'll see how we fare. I didn't end up actually using Critical Juncture there, but really, the quest was over before I even noticed that I had it charged. So I suppose what you could say, flowing from that point, is that it wouldn't have made much difference. You look very wounded. Oh, I didn't realize that you had 2 big fangs coming out of your mouth like that. They have both been broken off, but I can't say that I noticed that they were there prior to this point. It's interesting. $330 attack, 28 poison, negative 10 affinity. So obviously, compared with this longsword, you've got 2 drawbacks. It's that it's got less poison, but also negative affinity. But like, interestingly, I actually prefer those stats. I don't know why I didn't go for that longsword, right? No, I went for this longsword because I decided that if I was going to have a poison longsword, I wanted something that would focus on poison. You know, if I'm going to go to the trouble of having a status weapon, I wanted to have a pretty good amount of the status. And 28 is just shy of what I consider to be worthwhile with poison, I think. So, I mean, you can see I'm not getting much use out of this triple slot, which is unfortunate, but yeah. Upon further consideration, I agree with my choice here. Whose turn? Asks Chaos. Is this even a turns room? Hold on. It is not a turns room. Snake says just post. That's the spirit. This assumption that every room is a turns room makes you wonder why people would take the time to put turns in the actual room information. Obviously, you can't make that assumption unless you've joined a room that says turns. But that's just me. Maybe I'm a little bit too logical about it. That's how it was in the past. Maybe things have changed. Maybe I'm just an old fogey who isn't adapting to the reality of online play in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate. Okay, Shagaru Magala. Let's bring a hammer. Let's just be weird. I say be weird in the sense that I wouldn't normally bring a hammer to this monster, but I'm doing it anyway. Glavenus's Urganova. In Sanctum is using a weapon I almost never see, and I will tell you why. People who use the Atul weapons, like the actual character, the sort of person that would use that weapon, tends to not overlap with hunting horn players. which is interesting. I mean, take from that whatever you will, but this is the first time in a very, very, very long time that I've seen someone use that hunting horn. So, there you go. I'm not sure how it compares to other hunting horns, but it is being used. Negate status. Does that negate, in other words, does that nullify the virus effect? Possibly. Barrel Cat is on the move. The hell? Just need to pay attention here because I do not know the last time I hammered this monster, so I'm not familiar at all with my opportunities. It's so annoying when you go to do an uppercut on the head, but then on the way to reaching the head you end up hitting something else instead. Can be very annoying. Do I have the stamina for this? Not quite. Just barely. Just barely. Abnormal status attack plus 10%, is that useful with this team? With something like element attack up and abnormal status up, I always check to see what team I'm playing with to see if that's actually going to benefit anyone. And I'm not convinced that it is, to be honest. We've got a gunner, we've got a cat, and I know that I'm not using status, so is that helpful? Probably not. But maybe I'm just being nitpicky. But you know, probably not. There you go. Immune to abnormal statuses, but I don't think that... No, it seems that none of that actually affects the virus, because we just saw not just the immunity to it, but the negation of it come through as an effect. And none of that affected my build-up of virus, so... I think we can assume that this guy is using a hunting horn that is completely incompatible with this confrontation. Which is okay, maybe he's finding out for himself. He's hunter rank 80-something, and I didn't know either whether it would work, so... Nothing wrong with giving it a try. Oh, hold on. Reposition. There's nothing more annoying as a hammer user than being flinched by some wonder boy with a gun wanting to hit the head. Absolutely. There is actually something more annoying, and that's someone doing longsword spirit combos on the head when you're trying to get a golf swing out. But, you know, the frustration levels are not that different between the two scenarios. The more opportunity-based your weapon is, the more frustrating it becomes when your opportunity is taken away from you. Alright, I'm in position. I'll do a spinning golf swing into the head. Thanks to the hunting horn, who has assisted me with KO damage application, we've got a knock out. Almost said knock down, certainly not the word I was looking for. We had a very sudden change in the animation of the monster. Caused me to get hit. Oh. A lot of movement there. Good night. Didn't get a chance to use my spinning meteor, which was unfortunate. But yeah, I've probably used a hammer on this monster maybe twice in my life. Only because I don't use hammer much these days. But pretty easy with this monster, actually. Obviously, I could have done much better in that fight. I'm not going to pretend that I did well, but... yeah, pretty easy to pick up. Lots of opportunities to hit that head. Where's the gunner? Where is that prick? Did that even hit him? Clearly not. I just needed to get a little bit of frustration out on him. And unfortunately, it didn't even result in him getting thrown across the map by my spinning meteor slam. And that's Shagaru Magala. See what we've got on the board next. It will probably be my last hunt. Yep. So yeah, again, first recording for this year. First recording in almost a month. The next one will be this game for the Endgame series. I'll try to do one per week. But yeah, there aren't going to be any custom thumbnails, so don't be perturbed by the fact that you don't have my blazingly impressive editing skills on display every time you tune into the video, but yeah. I think that's a much better idea than not uploading anything because I can't do a custom thumbnail. Ooh. Double Congalala, that is our final quest. So I guess what I'll bring is just something fun. Maybe my Link armor set. Unless there's something else that I could bring that's kind of fun. How about... so what do I need to upgrade that other event weapon I was looking at? Flying Zinmark. Just need one. I can't even remember the quest. It's a better raw weapon than what I'm using. I can say that without hesitation. Alright, come on, Link. But yeah, like, this sword is okay, I just would have liked the Master Sword G to be a bit better. I'm perfectly okay with it being a raw weapon. I just feel like maxing out at maxing out at white sharpness and only having 300 raw damage, it's not... It's unbecoming of the Master Sword. Really, it should be dealing more damage than that. Oh, there you are. I honestly forgot what we were fighting. I don't know why you are such a reddish pink in this game. It's off-putting, actually. What's also off-putting is the amount of texture that your fur has. I can't remember what you looked like in Monster Hunter Online, but I think you would have looked a bit like this. Overly detailed is what you would have looked like, Mr. Congalala. Oh, there goes the... Oh no! We don't have increased status damage. Whatever shall we do? And just to be clear, I can't imagine that the status resistances would affect stench in any way. Oh. I wonder if there is a deodorizing song. How interesting would that be? Imagine a song that you could play to make people smell better. That almost requires a level of suspension of disbelief that I can't even comprehend. I guess you can just say, but it's magic, and then everything's okay. Oh yeah. I can complain about not liking the Master Sword's stats, but they gave the Master Sword a back sheath. That's pretty cool. They didn't have to do that. That took a little bit of extra effort. It's not like they gave it a special animation. I wouldn't expect that, but to give it a back sheath like that, I really like that. But I don't think that's Zelda getting any sort of special treatment. I think Capcom have always been willing to make their event weapons really special, just something different, something unique. They've usually been pretty good about that. But it was a nice touch. It is a nice touch, to speak in present tense. That's one pink monkey down, or reddish pink monkey. Salmon pink monkey, there you go. Is that going to catch on, salmon pink monkey? Yeah, I wouldn't quite say that's reddish pink. It's closer to salmon pink. And perhaps an argument could be made to say that that's reddish pink, but I'd disagree. It's not rich enough. I suppose the reason why the coloration is noticeably different here compared with, say, second generation is because this is deemed to be a more realistic coloration for a monster or for an animal in nature. I think that would be the argument. Because before it was like a hot pink. Can't imagine any hot pink monsters. And that's a good example. See that mushroom? That's more of a hot pink. That mushroom is closer to the colour of a Congalala normally. But I could imagine a hot pink mushroom. I can't really imagine hot pink fur on a monster. Or on an animal in the animal kingdom. So maybe that's the impetus behind the changing of the colour. It's a desire to make it more realistic. More true to nature.
Still affected by the tremor, unfortunately. And just when I was starting to smell a little less unpleasant, I've now been farted on again. I'm not going to be allowed in the house for a week. Oh, come on. We should have one-zoned him. I can't drink a Psycho Serum because I'm smelly. I'm much too smelly to be drinking anything at this time. It's not like I'm being prevented from doing it, it's psychological. It's not the done thing. The first thing you should be doing is not consuming liquids, it's, you know, applying deodorizer or deodorant to the body. You have to get your priorities straight. When you're smelly, forget it. If you're in the desert and you've been perspiring profusely, but you haven't had a drink in 2 days, deodorant comes first. Deodorant comes first, mate. Isn't it obvious? You think this is a small Congalala? I wouldn't say it's enough for a Gold Crown small, but yeah, it couldn't be argued that he's just about got large enough jaws to fit me in his mouth. Fortunately. I don't really want him to be able to get me in his mouth. Some people might. But let it be known I'm not that way inclined. I'll do one more hunt. The show needn't end now. Let's see what is next on the agenda. I don't know if we've actually got a specific person posting quests. I seem to remember that Chaos was asking to see who would post next, and Snake said, just post. It was a sort of dismissive remark that suggested, well, we're not doing turns, so just put something on the board, who cares? Which might give Chaos the opportunity to post whatever he wants, I don't know. Admittedly, I'm not that concerned one way or the other myself. I don't know if that many hyphens are needed, actually. How many is that? 5? 5 hyphens. Very good. That is such a weird longsword. It's, no, I know what that is. I should know what that's called. That's, it's a measuring tool. Look, I'm not a carpenter, so I don't know what these tools are called, but it is a type of rule. It is, where you can actually measure an amount like that. And I suppose the use case for it is that you make a measurement, and then you can keep the measurement, and then apply it in different places. Like, see where the measurement can be, or rather see where that length can help you in other situations when either building something or sussing something out. I'm not sure. I am not a handyman. I've never been accused of being a handyman, but I suspect that's how you would use that. I don't know what was put on the board, I have to confess. So, no, I have to check again. I kind of feel like using an elemental bowgun. Which requires that I check... Oh, yeah, okay. Let's use Dragon Light Bowgun. I don't do this often. I think this will be the last time. This definitely will be. In fact. So, let's finish up. Rapid Dragon, there it is. I've got no idea when I last did this. This must have been years ago. Years and years. But I've got a gun for it, and I do love this bowgun. Just look at this. Look at the appearance of this thing. What's it called again? Blast of the North Star. Oh my god. Blast of the North Star. What a gun. Just look at it. Alright, so all we need to worry about, because we do have internal ammunition, is bringing Dragon Level 1. If we bring Dragon Level 1, we're under control. Well, probably not. Let's make sure we've got an alternative. So what else does this shoot? It does have shrapnel shot internally. Pierce must be what I shoot alternatively. So we've got low recoil, so I think we can do level 3 without any issue. Yep. Let's bring level 3 shots. Looks like I actually have to purchase them, which makes sense. That's about what I expected. Okay, we're ready to go. Ends of the Earth. Second time we've done this quest so far. We'll start off, of course, with our Dragon Level 2 internal ammunition. I don't know if this is... no, this is not rapid fired, I don't think. This is single shot. It is rapid fired, okay. That means timing is quite important. And you can see that it's rapid fired actually because it's green on the left and blue on the right. If the whole thing were blue, it would not be rapid fire. Sort of forgot about that. I feel that timing is important here because I don't want to be shooting a shot type like this on a point of the monster that's not susceptible to dragon shot. Oh, terrible position for that to be in. Mainly, not for the damage that it's dealt to me, but for the fact that it's interrupted me at a crucial point. Okay. Yeah, happy to be using Dragon Shot though. Feels good. Have to get in position. I can't align with you. These explosions, look, they frustrate me when I'm using a Blade Master weapon, but when I'm ranged, something about it makes it even more annoying. No, I won't take the shot from there. I have to try and make full use of the piercing capabilities of this shot time. I'm not that happy with the positioning there, but... Okay, so my Dragon level 1, which I had to bring, is single shot, whereas Dragon level 2 is rapid fired by the gun. Okay. I didn't bring combination materials for Dragon Shot. That was one thing that I did forget to do. Oh well. These bloody explosions. But yeah, I do love the Nakakos weapons. The Nakakos bow in particular. Just that helix shape that it's got. So yes, I could have done more dragon damage than I have ended up doing, by actually bringing combination materials for my dragon shots. But that was one little detail that I missed. As you can see, ensuring that I am in the best position possible with the maximum amount of ammunition possible to unload. There you go, all done. It's just unfortunate to see Shagaru Magala reduced to such an easily felled monster. A much more significant fight in for Ultimate. Much more. Obviously with a very effective team that was built for level 140 guild quests, you would completely annihilate a G-rank Shagaru Magala. But something about how the fight felt in that game was better. And I use past tense to describe it, but I do still play for Ultimate, and it still feels that way. At least I can get a level 140 guild quest version of this monster. I can't really get a version of this monster in this game that still feels like an actual challenge. Or like a proper Elder Dragon. Alright. Stamina plus 6/3 slot, I'll take it. I'm unlikely to use it, but it seems decent, so I'll take it. That is the conclusion of the live stream. I do hope you all enjoyed. It was good to be able to join you again after so much time has passed. I will record again within the week, or within 7 days from now. And for the time being, I bid you all farewell. See you then.